Welcome to Lights, Camera, Cash, the podcast where creativity meets cash flow. I'm your host, Nicole Sellars, and I'm here to help you unleash the superstar within and turn your creativity and charisma into a money-making machine. Welcome to season 2 of Lights, Camera, Cash. I am so excited to be back, and I am welcoming today my dear friend, Ashley Hearon-Smith, to the show. She is the host of Lifestyled on QVC+. She's also a podcast host, a mom, and an entrepreneur. Welcome, Ashley. Ashley, welcome to the show, Lights, Camera, Cash, season 2. I'm so excited that you are here for episode 1, season 2. Welcome.
I am so excited. Thank you so much for having me. What an honor.
Oh my gosh, there's so much that I want to dive into today. And I love that we're both moms, we're both hosts, we're both producers, actors as well. Let's start a little bit. I don't want to go all the way back. Let's just say when you started acting, you thought the acting train was going to take off, and then all of a sudden you had to pivot quickly to hosting. I feel like that happens to a lot of us. Share a little bit about that story. How long were you acting for? What was that one role that you said, you know what, maybe acting's not the way to go?
Yeah, I was acting my whole life, basically. Not professionally, but I've been a performer since I came out of the womb, I think. And so that was always like my extracurricular was I was always I was either dancing or acting or whatever. And when I went to college, my parents basically said, sorry, babe, find something else that's like a real job that you can major in. And I said, okay. So I found television production, ended up loving it. But long story short, wanted to go back to being in front of the camera. And I had worked towards acting for so long, it felt like. And right before I got pregnant, I got a role in a like a low budget feature film where I was like a bikini girl and I looked great. Like now looking back on it, I'm like, good for you. I'm glad we have that, you know?
Did you love it? After kids, you look back and you're like, remember when I thought I was fat back then? When I didn't look good back then? I wish I could go back to that time and place.
You and me both, Nicole. But I was like, this wasn't the dream. Like I had to be in a hot tub with a man pretending to be touching him. And all I could think was like, this wasn't the dream. This was not the thing I wanted to do with my life. This was not the acting I thought I was going to do. And then I got pregnant and I thought, this is not working out. And I think it's time to restructure, figure out what I'm doing here. I know I want to be able to be home with my kid, but I don't want to give up on my dreams. And how can I still do all of that? And so that's how hosting really came about. I know it's a crazy story, but
No, we have very similar stories. And a lot of the female hosts that I talk to, once they become moms, everything changes and you reprioritize, right? Like you still want that creative part of you. You still want to have your own thing. You don't want to lose your identity, but it's different. It's different because it's not all about you anymore. It's not all about the dream anymore. It's about how do I marry these two things together? Being a mom, being a creative, being an entrepreneur, because that's what we all have to be at this moment in time. How do we do that and still stay, joyful and present and be all the things that we need to be for our kids? It's really a struggle, but such a blessing. And I say all the time, I look at my kids and I say, I am so blessed and so lucky to have these 2 boys and also have something that I love to do. And is it a smooth ride? No. I mean, is it always an up and down kind of roller coaster within the entertainment and media space? Yeah, it is. And I love what you were saying about there was a moment in time where you said, maybe this just isn't right for me. And I've had those moments too. And so many people listening go through that and say, well, does that mean that I'm giving up on my dream? Does that mean that I'm giving up on what I think I should be doing with my life? I agree. I think it is just a refocus and a shift into something that's a little bit different that kind of combines all of the loves that you have in your life. Do you agree?
agreed. And everything has a season, right? Like we go through many seasons in our lives. And so, my season of being home and being with my son and kind of prioritizing that, he's 7 now. He is a big boy. He's in big boy school. Like I feel confident having somebody else watch him at this point because he can communicate with me. So now is my season once again to get back into prioritizing what my dreams have been. And I'm okay with that, and it's a little bit of I mean, listen, it's not easy. There's a there are plenty of bumps in the road, um, but I'm happy to be back here. It feels good. It feels good, and I feel like the cycle worked out with its timing, which is good.
And I love what you said about seasons. It is so, so true. And a lot of hosts that I talk to, especially the females and the moms, they always say, I just, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know if hosting is going to work out. I don't know if acting is going to work out. I don't know if producing is going to work out. And honestly, in any business that you're in, there are no guarantees. So I say, take the time, put it into something that you love to do, and it will manifest into something, especially if you're true to your brand and your passions. And that's what you do so well, if I may say so myself. I love that, when we worked together, we talked a lot about your passions and what you love to do and what you love to talk about. How do we marry those things together? How do we turn that into a business? How do we make that into a profitable brand by talking about products that we use, by, linking to your, like to know page, all those things. And you combine all those things so well, especially with your branding and your marketing materials and your website and Instagram. All of these things are so important if you are an on air personality, because now more than ever, as well as anyone, if you are not standing out or unique in some way within your niche that you want to be in, you're going to be glossed over. There's just so much noise out there. And what I feel that you do so well too is the content that you put out is so authentic to you, and you can feel it. You record out of your closet, you're trying on clothes, you're getting ready in the morning, and it is such like a testament to who you are as just a mom, an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, a host, all the things. So you do that so well. Bravo to you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an interesting we were saying about before we started recording, like anything I haven't known how to do, I have used Google and YouTube and taught myself to do it. We were talking about our websites and like, yep, taught myself how to use Squarespace because now I can make a website and I don't have to pay somebody every single time I need to update a reel or update a bio or we decide to pivot in the
Yeah.
marketing of it all, you know?
Well, you have to be really resourceful as an on
Yes.
air personality, because not only for yourself and building your own brand and business, but when you work for somebody else, they are going to want you to do all the things. You're not just getting hired anymore to be the pretty face of something. You have to put a lot of effort into the job. You're going to have to most likely write, produce, come up with show concept ideas, segment ideas. You are doing all the things. You're not just sitting there reading a teleprompter anymore. Those days are long gone. And I want to talk about your experience with QVC Plus, because that was the dream job, right? And you have reached the dream job, but it was not easy to get there. You were auditioning, you actually won a few callbacks, you had to go in person. And then that moment came where maybe it wasn't the full package of what you wanted, but it actually turned out to be much better because it was something different. It was an offshoot of what you had auditioned for originally. Is that right?
Yeah, I actually wanna start by saying, like, my entire career, I feel like, has been pivoting, and it's like, I think we all go into something with this ultimate dream and this ultimate, like, goal of what we wanna do, but I urge everybody to be opportunistic and to be willing to go with the flow of things because I don't know if you're a big manifester, big, like, cosmic order. The thing that I feel like I've learned the most is you want something, you ask for it, you can make it happen. It just may not be in exactly the way you want it to be, and you have to ride that wave. And somehow all these things come together in this like perfect culmination. And I don't, I want to say I don't know how it happens, but I think it's the cosmic order of things. So, I had felt like I had been doing this Mom Trash podcast for 4 years with my podcast partner, Carrie, and it was a labor of love. We wanted to create a community of moms that were like us. And it was 4 years of everything that happened was split between the 2 of us. We did all the work. And so basically, we've had opportunities that we kept thinking were gonna take us to the next level, and things just kept not happening.
Yeah, the way
And
that you plan them, the way that you plan them to be, it
yes.
most likely will not turn out that way,
No.
but it always winds up turning out for the better.
I
Always.
and I do genuinely agree with that, and I think you have to have trust in that for it to pan out in a certain way. But I just felt like I had hit a wall. I knew I wanted to host. I'm so used to doing every facet of everything myself, and like I said, teaching myself how to if I don't know how. And I just thought, I am absolutely stuck. I need to invest in myself. And I invested first in working with Barbara Barna Abel. Then I worked with you and still working with you. And that was the best thing I did because very shortly into that, the QVC position came up. Barbara urged me to audition. And, I had auditioned about 10 years ago and thought, wow, this is not for me. I am so bad at this. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And it ended up being perfect. It was a dream. I did multiple callbacks. Then I did the 2-day in-person callback. That was great. I thought for sure, "Oh, I felt really good about it," and I'm not one of those people that leaves an audition thinking, "You nailed that, Ashley." Like, I'm always thinking about how could I have done that better? What could I have
Right.
done? And even during those 2 days, I was highly critical of myself, but something in me, I was like, "I think I got this. Like, I think this is gonna happen." Didn't happen. Did not happen. My family was ready to move. My son, when he found out I didn't get it, goes, "Oh my god, we're now moving to the suburbs." Like, was so sad. And then 4 days later, I heard from streaming, and I just thought, "I think this is a better situation. I don't have to move my whole life. I can still do other work." It really just worked out for the better. Now, who knows how long it'll last? I hope it lasts forever, but that's the new challenge.
Well, that's what I always say to, like, ride the wave and, like, just enjoy the time because when you're in it, we are always programmed to look 5 steps ahead. Like, what's the next step? What's the next
Yeah.
show? What's the next what is the next step for me? And what I've learned over the years is the more present you are in the job that you're doing, the better you perform, but also the more relaxed you are, the more confident you are, and the more trust that you have in the process, you're not going to be so scattered and distracted by what should be or should I be doing something differently.
That's such a life lesson overall, like, just being present, being in the moment. My mom used to always tell me, like, "Life changes all the time. You need to be grateful for what you have while you have it." And I think by nature, what we do, we are so used to always having to find the next job, having something lined up. It is not a career for those who crave consistency.
Right.
So,
But that's the whole premise of this show is like we need to figure out a way to have a sustainable on-camera career because the industry is not stable. It's not. It never will be. It never was. So, and I always like to just talk about the realities of it where you may land that dream gig, right? But who knows how long it's going to last. That happened to me. It's happening to you right now. You're riding the wave. You're enjoying every ounce of it. And something else will come along, but you just don't know when. So while we're here and on this earth and we're doing all the things that we love, putting those things out there to attract those other opportunities. Because I can tell you right now, had you not put all of those pieces of content out there that represented the type of host that you are, you would have never gotten called into QVC for that audition. You would have never even been noticed.
and there's so many different ways that you get jobs nowadays where
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, there's a direct self tape, but a lot of times you are being discovered online. A lot of times, it is just one little video. So, then you start to drive yourself mad about what hashtag should I be using? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And you know what I did when I got the QVC Plus job? I said, I am going to invest in a social media coach who is going to teach me how I can be better about being on brand to create more of these opportunities because I'm all up for working hard, but I don't want to work hard in a misguided or dumb way. I want the work and the energy that I am putting in because time is limited for all of us. I want it to be worth it. So Please, I encourage people, like, this is if you have an opportunity and you want to seize it, that is an excellent way of doing it.
I totally agree. Anything where you're branding yourself, and I'm the same way. I am hiring someone for social media as well because although we know what to do, I guess in the general sense, there is so much more that we don't know because it's not our expertise, right? And I love what you said about investing in coaches. I invest in coaches all the time because there are a lot of things that I don't know. And when you feel stuck or you're hitting that plateau of like, I just am not seeing any sort of, advancement, nothing, I'm not moving, that's when you start to seek out people in the areas that you are not an expert in, like social media. And I was gonna say your social media looks amazing. The branding looks fantastic. The content is on point, like all the things. And I'm gonna move into the direction of actually hiring someone for social media as well, because I know that's where you are discovered. You are discovered on Instagram, you are discovered on YouTube. That is where people are looking right now. And although there will be casting calls, but they're very limited. You need to be out there and discoverable. We talk about that all the time as being discoverable. And that has already brought so many opportunities your way as well. I want to backtrack a little bit because you were producing in the beginning of your career. You were a talent booker for like A-list celebrities. Again, resourceful, doing everything on your own. Jump into that space with me because I love the entertainment space. I used to like kind of that, E! News Access Hollywood dream. It's not my dream anymore, but of course that was like, that was the dream back in the day. So you got to do it. You're on your own. You made it happen. How did you make that happen? And who was your best and worst interview? I have to hear it.
Okay, you got it. So basically the way that this all started was I interned at the Martha Stewart show my last semester of college. And my goal was to obviously turn this into a job. And I grew up loving Martha Stewart. Like that was my first of the dream jobs in my life. It was like I woke up happy at 5 a.m. to go to work. I would wear my badge on the bus into the city, like, so just so happy. But I ended up getting a position as the, talent coordinator at Martha Stewart, and then I moved over to Wendy where I was a junior booker. But, it's a lot. I was my job was basically my boss would book the talent. I would handle their payment paperwork, how they got there. I would take care of them once they arrived, up until they left. And I just really enjoyed that. And through that, I started to make connections with different publicists and stuff like that. And then I just decided, okay, well, if I'm going to do this on my own, if I'm going to no longer work in production and start creating content in some way of my own, I can use these contacts. So when I got the podcast at Scary Mommy after the birth of my son, so that was 2018, I want to say. I said, I have this skill. I can also book. I can book a celebrity talent. And they were like, "Okay, great. Let's do that." And I had, it was hard. I have to tell you because 5 years, 5 to 10 years had passed. I don't even remember. So those contacts had changed and that this is very much a niche built on your contacts like so many other. But I just started contacting people and saying like, "I'm a part of Scary Mommy. These are the numbers. I think, it would be great to interview this person for this job, this that their thing that they're promoting." And it just rolled over into Montage when we started doing Montage. I was like, "Let's do it." And we've booked Jim Carrey. We booked I guess I should say I booked. I booked Jim Carrey. I booked love of my life, Adam Sandler.
And I love that interview too. It's very cute.
I mean, because 'cause I'm emotional and ridiculous because I just love him so much. It's also genuine. Kristen Bell. Um, who's been my best does it you want interviews, not just, like, who I met while I was working in daytime?
No, I think who you met in general.
Okay, worst was Raquel Welch.
What was that story?
She was just, like, very rude and she was very mean. She did not like me. She slammed a door in my face, and after a while, this is not a good look for me, but I'll be honest. After a while, I didn't like how nasty she was to me, so I started being very passive aggressive. So, honestly, I deserved the door closed in my face because I egged it on a little bit. But I was just like, if she's gonna be nasty, I'm not gonna be that nice either. Um, My favorite, all the late night guys are great. Like Conan was great. Jimmy Fallon was great. Yeah, the late night guys are so good. Conan wanted to take me back to when he was still had the late show, wanted to take me back to his studio. He told my boss, I was like, Who else's life is this? This is crazy."
I love it. So now for all of the hosts listening right now, how did you best prepare for A-list celebrity interviews? Because that can be very intimidating for a lot of hosts who are just getting into it. Was there some sort of like a ritual or a routine that you would go through? Just obviously, yes, you research who you're interviewing, what projects they're doing, but was there anything that kind of made your interviews a little bit more unique that you kind of got them really comfortable chatting with you?
Yeah, so firstly, like I get starstruck. I'm going to be very honest. I think this is why I wanted to be a host as a little kid watching Entertainment Tonight was like being in on it. Like knowing the behind the scenes I think is like part of what really appeals to me about this profession. And so working in daytime and taking care of the talent definitely helped get over that and make it less intimidating. But in terms of booking talent to interview, parenthood is the great equalizer. It truly is. We've all had poop on us at some point that wasn't our own. We've all been vomited on. We all want to sometimes strangle our children and then 2 minutes later be like, "I love you. You're the greatest thing ever. Don't ever leave." So that might be the most equalizing thing there is. So the fact that I was interviewing for a parenting podcast certainly helps because it's like, what's been the hardest thing you had to go through with raising your children? But definitely do your research. You're more than likely going to be told what you cannot talk about. Listen to that, stick to that, always stay professional, don't ask for photos. That's a big one I don't understand. I don't know. If they seem like they're gonna be weird about photos, don't ask for the photo. Just don't.
Yeah. Keep it
Don't
cool.
do it. Yeah,
Keep it
just
cool.
act like you belong there. That's every situation.
I remember 100 years ago when I was a PA at MTV and I was like this starstruck 20 something and I would just see all the celebrities walking through the halls and my biggest thing was just be cool. Just be cool. Don't act like, this starstruck teenager and cuz I would have to go in to these, these video shoots with these celebrities and I'm like,
Were you on TRL?
so I was in the promos department. So we were in charge of producing the promos for all the programming, like everything. So it was so fun. Yeah. But like I remember like a day where we walked in to interview Stone Temple Pilots and I was like this 20 something and there were 3 PAs and we were all sent to interview Stone Temple Pilots and all of us are going, you ask the questions. No, you ask the questions. No, you ask. So we were like terrified, but it was just the coolest experience. But again, be cool, don't ask for pictures, don't act starstruck, and just, and find that common ground. I love what you said about parenthood, especially being that really great icebreaker. That's such a great one.
Yeah, and whatever it is, like, if you see something in your research where you're like, "Oh my god, we have this in common," like, talk about it. Kristen Bell and I, got along about being from New Jersey. Like, there's always something that some commonality that you can find with somebody, and that kind of feel like that's, like, the big tip for small talk too. Just find that little commonality.
Yes, agreed, 100%. And as we start to wrap up the conversation, I wanna talk about your QVC Plus Lifestyled show. It is, on QVC Plus, it's called Lifestyled, and you talk about the daily deals of the day, right? So, you're
So that's
talking
2 different shows now.
Chew to okay, so back up. QVC Plus, Lifestyled, and then there's a second show. Okay, what I love now is that you were hired for Lifestyled, and because you were doing so well on Lifestyled, they brought you in to do a second show, correct?
Girl, you and me both. I love it. It's great.
See, again, so not planned, but because you were present in the moment and loving the job, you got offered a second show on QVC Plus. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so basically they offered me Lifestyled, which, I have a co-host, Courtney Kaysen, who was a full-time host for 10 years, which, something about QVC is they very much stress this, like, QVC training, and it can really mess with your head a little bit. I mean, it's messed with my head where I feel like the one that didn't have the good training, like everyone else.
But I think that's why you were hired, because you have your own personality. You aren't, a cookie cutter host like others out there. You're very much authentic to yourself.
And I do think you're right about that. I do think that that is kind of my appeal. So they brought me on for that, and then they offered me a show called Ready Set Deal, which is like a 3 to 5 minute episode every day of whatever like a streaming deal is for that day. So that one's very nerve-wracking for me, to be completely honest, because that I have to do the QVC sell, and I haven't been formally trained. So it's a lot of like, after I get off with you today, I'm going tomorrow for Ready Set Deal. So I will be sitting here looking at my production book, going through every single product, going to the website, watching a video that's already been recorded, looking up the company. I learned that Dolce Vita, the shoe company, is over 90% female, which is why their shoes are so stylish and oftentimes really comfortable. And I learned this in my research, but tell me that's not a great selling point.
I was just going to say, using all those selling points in your, I don't want to say pitch, but that's pretty much what you're doing. You're soft selling because you're storytelling. And this is something now that you are doing almost, are you doing it weekly? It's a weekly show, correct?
I go in there to record like every week, week and a half. We do about 10 products per recording day.
See, that's so exciting. And now you're learning new skills. Now it's more about products. And which is incredible, and that is where the money is right now, and before we wrap up, I wanna talk about that because a lot of the content and what especially now with TV kind of, I don't wanna say imploding, but let's just say call it what it is. Now that everything is really shifting more to digital, a lot of branded content is what we're going to see and what we're seeing a lot more of. So as on-air personalities, we really need to be comfortable talking about products without being too salesy, talking about products that are life changers for us or make our lives easier. How have you kind of shifted into I want to say on air sales? How have you really shifted that and how does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you initially hear you're gonna be auditioning for a role like that, you automatically want to make that switch, right? Like, and for just $5.99, this product too can be yours. But what I was told repeatedly was they want you to be you. And I have to tell you, being told that was such a freeing thing and also a huge burden. I feel like I'm a little kooky, right? So I'm like most like Phoebe from Friends of the three girls in my mind. So for me, I'm like, okay, well, how far can I take being me? Can we fully be like a little chaotic and a little like all over the place, scattered sometimes? So on one hand, there's so much freedom in feeling like I just get to go to work and show up and be me and tell you why this water bottle is so perfect because of the way I use it in my daily life every day. Um, but then also it's like, what? Is that too me? Are we turning people off?
Well, I will tell you, I'm sure they will let you know when it's too much. And I always say like give it all and then if they ask you to bring it back, you can always reel it back in, right?
A very good tip. It's like the same thing, ask for forgiveness instead of, permission, right?
Permission. I use that line all the time, like, better to ask for forgiveness than permission. I totally agree. So, anything that you wanna leave our listeners with on a note of on-air hosting, motherhood, tips for success, anything?
Don't ever stop believing in yourself. Make sure that you are partnered in your life with somebody who believes in you as much as you believe actually believes in you more than you believe in yourself. And invest in yourself, even when it feels hard and like money is tight and you are doing everything you can to make ends meet. If you can put it on a credit card, I guarantee you. And I don't want to stress financial irresponsibility because I do think, we do really need to be responsible with our finances, but I can every time I invest. I mean, I've been working with Nicole and now I'm a part of TV Hosting Academy, the monthly meetups, and I still pay for the social media coaching. I'm now part of her monthly meetups. You will always get it back. You will investing in yourself, you will make that money back in some way. It may not be the way you thought, but some way.
100%. Thank you. I totally agree.
And Nicole's a great, 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 great coach. Definitely, I would highly suggest working it's truly fantastic. I believe, I came to you after I got QVC, but I feel like things continue to go in the right direction because of working with you. The powerhouse trio of you, Barbara, and Lauren, my social media chick, has just been like, I feel like Superwoman.
It's putting that team together, and thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that, and it's something that I don't take lightly. I fully invest in my clients and myself all the time because I know that it will pay off. And if you don't have that support system, it's really easy to give up. It's really easy to just say, "You know what? I'll just go find a job and call it a day."
That's your secret power as a coach is it's not just like you taught me obvious things you need to have in place like hey don't send your reel in the body of an email send a YouTube link that blew my mind and I was embarrassed that I didn't know that because I feel like I'm seasoned enough I should have known that um but also just to have somebody and this is where you're really great to spitball and hey, I have this little inkling of an idea. Let's develop it. Let's grow it. You are so great at that. And we all need that, especially in this time where you can't just be talent for hire. You got to be the full shebang.
You gotta be the full package. I 100% agree. Thank you so much, Ashley. I really appreciate you jumping on. I cannot wait to see where you go next. Just the world is your oyster, my friend. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.